breaking news here on the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. Welcome into the channel. Jeffrey Cooperstein here with you guys. Jaxson Hayes is signing a one-year deal to return to the Los Angeles Lakers. Breaking news just coming in from Shams Charania of ESPN that the Lakers have found their backup center. They signed DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year, $16 million contract here in NBA free agency, and then they complete their center rotation with Jaxson Hayes, who is signing a one-year deal. Agent Bill Duffy of WME Basketball confirms the one-year deal to return to the Los Angeles Lakers, and this is a great deal for Los Angeles. Jaxson Hayes was with the Lakers last season. He played most of the season as the starting center for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, he struggled in the first half of the year, but when the Lakers traded for Luka Doncic, Jaxson Hayes really took off and took his game to another level. Look, Jaxson Hayes in the playoffs was not great. In the 4 games he played against Minnesota, he averaged less than 2 points a night, just right at 2 rebounds. He was a minus 17 in the postseason, and he got played off the floor to the point where JJ Redick had him as a DNP coach's decision in one of those games. So it was clear that the Lakers needed to upgrade on Jaxson Hayes as their starting center, which they do in DeAndre Ayton, who is going to average at least 14 points, at least 10 rebounds, and will run the pick and roll effectively with Luka. What the Lakers needed was Jaxson Hayes to be a backup center who can play 10 to 15 minutes a game alongside another guy who can play the majority of the minutes. And now the Lakers all of a sudden have a formidable rotation in a Western Conference that is trying to get extremely big. The big man is back and better than ever here in the NBA, and this is just another example of that happening. So grade the Jaxson Hayes signing for me down in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. You may get hit with the YouTube ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and while that happens, go on down there and get your votes in. Grade the signing of Jaxson Hayes. I think that this is going to be a B- signing. I don't think Hayes is a special player by any means, but I do think there is some ability there, and he does have some familiarity with Luka Doncic and with LeBron James and the rest of this Lakers roster playing there last season. That can't be understated, and it is just even more paramount that they got him as the backup center as opposed to the starting option. Look, there's a reason Jaxson Hayes was available here in day 4 of 2025 NBA free agency, and it's because no one believed in him as a starting caliber option. I like Jaxson Hayes as a backup center, and I think this is a great move for the Lakers. And now, you take a look at what the Lakers have done thus far in the offseason. LeBron James accepts his $52.6 million player option. Dorian Finney-Smith leaves the Lakers for the Houston Rockets in NBA free agency. They bring in Jake LaRavia on a 2-year contract with part of the mid-level. He sort of replaces Dorian Finney-Smith, but they do play a very different style of game where Dorian Finney-Smith is a true 3-and-D wing. You'll have Jake LaRavia, who is more of an offensive guy. He's not great defensively, but is good enough that he can certainly pass by and be a part of your wing rotation. And then you also have the signings of DeAndre Ayton for the 2-year, $16 million contract. So the Ayton and LaRavia deals, those will both go into the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, meaning the Lakers had that to use because they were under the luxury tax. So Ayton and LaRavia go into that. And then Jaxson Hayes signing this 1-year deal. I assume this is going to be for the veteran minimum. We're awaiting full details here on that contract, but that's where I see it happening. I think the Lakers have done a decent job this offseason trying to revamp their roster, but there's obviously the extremely looming cloud around LeBron James and this Lakers team where we're basically witnessing the beginning of the end of LeBron's Lakers tenure. And we'll talk about that here a little more on the second half of today's show. But before we do that, go get hooked up with our friends at Fanatics today. When you go to chatsports.com/LA Combo, you can get yourself a dope Lakers t-shirt. It's black. It has LA Strong across the front. It's originally $34, but it has been marked down to just $20. So you can support the channel as well, because when you go to chatsports.com/LA Strong, Fanatics will send us a part of the proceeds. So you're supporting the Lakers Report and getting yourself a dope Lakers t-shirt. So shout out to Fanatics for sponsoring this episode of the Lakers Report, and you can go get yourself a Fanatics t-shirt today. Appreciate them for sponsoring this episode. All right. So the Jaxson Hayes signing out of the way. the Lakers center rotation is pretty much set. And this just coming in from Bobby Marks. I'm just checking my phone to make sure we have all the up-to-date information here with the Lakers. There's 12 guaranteed contracts with 2 non-guaranteed, and they are $3.3 million below the first apron hard cap. So the Lakers still have a potential veteran minimum signing available to them if they want to go add another wing, if they want to go add potentially a backup point guard to Luka. So they do have roster options there with $3.3 million left remaining, and they are hard capped at that first apron, so they can't exceed that whatsoever. Now, there's been the trade rumors on potentially Cam Whitmore as well, who the Lakers have registered interest in, and with Dorian Finney-Smith heading from the Lakers to the Houston Rockets, you could see a potential move for Cam Whitmore to the Los Angeles Lakers, and he could fit in, and the Lakers would still have room to go sign somebody else. So that's a potential possibility. But everything rests on the future of LeBron James, who opted into that $52.6 million player option, and no one really knows what's going to happen here this season. I think it's extremely likely that LeBron plays out this year with Los Angeles, and that this is the final year in the purple and gold for LeBron. I really don't see a trade materializing because he's making $52.6 million, and teams aren't going to want to send back that amount of salary to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the first reason. Reason number 2, LeBron can pick his destination because he has a full no trade clause available at his disposal. So if the Lakers find a trade that maybe LeBron doesn't like, he vetoes it right away and it's done and dusted. That's the end of discussion. A more likely scenario, but not one that I think is really going to happen, is a potential buyout. And the reason I don't think a buyout's going to happen is because LeBron, he opted into his $52.6 million player option because he wanted the money. He does not want to forfeit any of that money. And look, if he were to be bought out, the Lakers would probably ask him to forfeit 10, 20, maybe even 30 million of that money. And I know LeBron's a billionaire, but there's a reason he's a billionaire. It's because he wants to keep all of his money. So that doesn't seem like it's an option that is on the table at this point in time either. So my guess is the most likely scenario, LeBron James ends up staying in Los Angeles for this final year. And the Lakers are going to try to go all in to win a championship this season with Luka Doncic, with LeBron James, with DeAndre Ayton, maybe with Andrew Wiggins if they execute a trade for him. All Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, they're going to try to go do something and win the NBA title this year. I do think the move of Jaxson Hayes absolutely helps them do that because in this Western Conference, you look at what everyone has done this offseason. Everyone is stacking up bigs. The Los Angeles Clippers, they signed Brook Lopez. He was a potential Lakers target. The Dallas Mavericks have Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford. The San Antonio Spurs went and got Luke Cornett to pair with Victor Wembanyama. The Houston Rockets have Steven Adams, Clint Capella, and Alperen Şengün. Every competitive team, the NBA champions, Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. Every team in the Western Conference is trying to stack up big men. And the Lakers do that by going and getting Jaxson Hayes to come back to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think this is an underrated move made by Rob Pelinka and LA. So credit to them as they get their backup center. And now they have a viable center rotation they can run for 48 minutes in an NBA basketball game, which is absolutely massive. Next up for the Lakers, I think, is figuring out the wing position with that $3.3 million remaining before they hit that first apron hard cap. We'll see what they end up doing, whether it's a potential trade, a free agency signing. You know where to find it. It's right here on the channel. So hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/Lakers TV. We have you covered with all of the latest Lakers news and rumors. Appreciate you guys for joining me on this breaking news edition of the Lakers Report.